From the venerable Schoenecker Arena at the University of St. Thomas, we proudly present high school girls basketball. Our tip-off coverage continues with the second annual St. Thomas Thanksgiving tip-off. 2 games coming your way. The Rochester Lourdes Eagles, one of the top 5 teams in Class 2A, take on the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders, an up-and-coming team in 4A. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Peden, joined by Latoya Turk in her first broadcast, but she's been around the block a few times, a Minneapolis-Washburn alum, Kentucky State, and was recently an assistant coach for Como Park. So Latoya, you know a thing or two about these teams, including a Cretin-Derham Hall team that brings back just about everybody from a year ago.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to commentate with you today. I look forward to this matchup.
And that being said, this Cretin-Derham Hall team, your daughter's going to be a conference opponent this season, but again, they bring back almost everybody from a year ago. They had a strong campaign, and they could be a dark horse in the 4A field, and certainly a favorite in the conference and section.
They are a favorite in the conference and the section. They have a very quick team, and we are looking forward to the matchup, which will be right around the corner for us, for the Roseville Raiders.
Well, until then, they have to get through the Rochester Lourdes Eagles first. Rochester Lourdes coming off a quarterfinal appearance last year in the 2A state tournament, and they graduated 3 seniors, but they've got a phenomenal sophomore in Alyssa Ustby. And now, we don't get to see Rochester teams too often, but when you've got a fulcrum like Ustby, how is that going to help the Eagles today?
When we have a what?
A fulcrum. When you have somebody like Ustby, how's that going to help the Eagles out?
Well, she'll bring a lot of experience to the team. She'll be able to handle the ball, and we'll see. We're going to see what she brings.
We will see what she brings. Again, we don't get to Rochester that often, so we're going to find out just what they're made of, and we'll see if Cretin can start off on a strong note. We'll have the starting lineups in a moment. You're watching high school girls basketball. And there's a look at the venerable Schoenecker Arena. And Latoya, you've been around long enough to remember the days of the old Schoenecker Arena, or not?
No, I grew up in Minneapolis.
So of course you had no reason to go to St. Paul.
None whatsoever.
You should have gotten out more when you were in high school.
Minneapolis did me well.
But the old Schoenecker Arena was there. I covered a couple of All-Star series at the old venue, and it was a bit of a climb, let's put it that way.
Okay.
This was rebuilt, part of the new Anderson Athletic Complex reopened, and an absolutely fabulous facility for a D3 school. And
it's beautiful.
And one perk about these tip-off events, Hamlin and St. Thomas, is these coaches can get a good look at some potential additions to their rosters in future seasons.
Absolutely.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Now, the starters will be introduced, but Latoya, you and I actually ran into each other as I was coming from Hamlin over here, and you have a lot of news and notes for me to catch up on, including the big change from Como to De La Salle and Elena Jones.
Yes, they will be missing her in the paint, but they have a senior, Danica Patterson, who has stepped up and filled the position quite well.
Are there any other changes I should be aware of?
They have an addition of 3 or 4 8th grade guards.
Well, just around the state, are there any other big news and notes here?
I don't know, Mike, you tell me.
Well, that could make the Section 4 3A playoffs quite dramatic, especially if Como and De La Salle get through.
Yes.
And with Cretin, one reason they are now a favorite in the Suburban East and in Section 4 4A, all of the seniors that graduated from their rivals. East Ridge lost a lot of talent.
Yes.
Woodbury, C.C. Keeger's gone.
Yes.
Roseville graduated Kaya Porter. Although your daughter's there, so they'll probably...
don't sleep on Roseville, Mike.
And White Bear Lake, they got to state, but they did not get through easily. They actually finished in a 4-way tie in their conference last year.
Right.
With Roseville and Cretin and East Ridge.
Yes, and I think it'll be an interesting matchup this year as well with Stillwater, with the addition of Alexis Pratt, and Park is going to have a strong showing as well. Roseville will have a strong showing as well.
And I hear Tartan is coming along in terms of the section, that they've got another stud who, well, may bring shades of Tia Albert, but we'll find out.
And they have a young team, lots of potential, lots of opportunity for growth. So I look forward to seeing them in the next few years where they land.
Of course, when you're in 4A, if they get through, and well, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves, we'll have to see if they can hang with the likes of the Hopkins and Eastviews, who have been strong contenders. Here's a quick recap of the starters for you. For Cretin-Derham Hall, it's Chanel Anderson Manning, number 2. Haley Moore, number 10. Autumn Mendez, number 13. Franny Hottinger, number 22. And Lindsay Ettinger, number 24. Virtually everybody they had from a year ago. For Rochester Lourdes, it's Anna Braun, number 5. Jordan Berg, number 15. Alyssa Ustby, number 21. Wynter Bergner, number 24. And Josie Hansen, number 30. Lord, number 3 in 2A behind Sauk Center and Minnehaha Academy in the preseason poll. And it's going to be an interesting season for Minnehaha. You know, they have a strong team, but one of their players transferred to Maranatha following the building explosion. And
I think they're still in a good position.
They're in good position, but Cretin-Derham Hall looking to get in a strong position, and Franny Hottinger will do just that off the steal and score. Cretin wasting no time, and they that was a foul, okay, on Hottinger. But you can see
they're pressing right away.
If you remember them a year ago, quickness was their identity, and they're embracing it in the first 15 seconds. And we've got one of the student managers taping in front of us. But I can tell you that a 3 is on the way, unable to knock it down was Josie Hansen, and the rebound going to Hottinger. Here comes Anderson Manning. Ettinger for 3, that's short. And a loose ball foul on Rochester Lourdes. So they will stay right here with the Raiders.
And Anderson Manning is a senior out there on the floor. She's really talking it up to her team.
Eagles personal foul on Hannah Braun, her first, team's first.
Another senior is Haley Moore. She can't bank it in. Haley Moore, the daughter of Colin Moore, who has been part of the coaching staff at St. Paul Johnson for many, many years, including that state tournament run in 2010 when they went undefeated. I don't know how much. What do we do about the? There's a student manager a few rows in front of us getting game film, and that's why we're laughing, because we're having a tough time looking past her here. Alyssa Ustby, she had a strong freshman season a year ago. And the inside feed to number 15, Jordan Berg, is off the mark. And that will go to Cretin-Derham Hall. I think Abe is suggesting we go in front of the camera here to get around this problem. And that's what I'm going to do, because I have a 20-foot XLR. And if you don't know what that is, that's just an audio cable. And knocking down the three-pointer was Autumn Mendez. All right, much better, don't you think, Latoya?
Absolutely.
It's 5-0 in favor of Cretin-Derham Hall. And the boys team is going to be fun to watch this year as well, with Daniel Oturu, the Gophers recruit, in his final year. He led one of the leaders in scoring and rebounds last year, and blocks.
See Rochester Lourdes putting on a little half-court press there.
They have yet to score, though, and Cretin-Derham Hall intercepts. That's Autumn Mendez. Anderson Manning is stripped by Ustby, and Cretin-Derham Hall can't convert on the fast break there. Nice heads-up move, though, by Rochester Lourdes. Catch, release, 3-ball. Lizzie Ettinger.
Three-point basket by Alyssa, the assist to Chanel Anderson-Manning.
Chanel Anderson-Manning with the dime. And this was a Raiders team that picked up some big wins last year. Had a little bit of inconsistency. They lost to the likes of Norwood Young America and De La Salle. As you know, those two schools meet every year, being the oldest members of the Archdiocese in St. Paul and Minneapolis. And Anderson-Manning tripped up Jordan Berg from behind. That's going to be a foul. I know it's only opening day, Latoya, but how much do you miss coaching on the sidelines after 2 years at Como?
I think I still coach a little bit. There are things that I miss about it, and there are things that I don't miss.
I guess we should ask your daughter about that when Roseville starts the season. Wynter Bergner gets Lourdes on the board. She drains the 3 from the top of the key. Mendez from the corner. Long skip to Moore. Dumps it off. Ottinger, yes. And Cretin-Derham Hall a year ago made quite the impression at this Thanksgiving tip-off. They picked up a couple of big wins. Another 3. Unable to hit it was Bergner. And the Raiders looking to push once more. Anderson-Manning out to Ettinger. That 3 is short. Offensive rebound goes to Mendez. Anderson-Manning faking the 3. Throws her body off balance there, but she gets the Plinko bounce. Safe to say, Cretin is winning the hustle play so far.
Yes.
And going back to that Cretin-De La Salle connection, Carissa Wolenek is a member of the coaching staff this year. She won a state title at De La Salle in 2011 when Faith Johnson-Patterson was the head coach.
Cretin gets out very well on transition offense.
I'm sure your daughter's taking notes, although, well, that was deflected. I'm sure your daughter's studying this intently, or she might be looking at her phone.
Taking notes on her phone.
Or taking notes on her phone. That's why we don't assume here. So those of you who think teens spend all their time on phones doing nothing, sometimes they are using it to their advantage. I have a notepad on my phone. There's Sydney Jackson, who started her varsity career with Como Park.
Yes.
And she banks in the runner. And Jackson, she was a quick one in that 1 year with Como. I don't know if you got a chance to work with her, but...
Yes, I did. I did work with Sydney Jackson. Sydney also runs track, so...
And she's really fast.
Thing. Yes.
She likes to go fast.
Great athlete.
Well, that's going to make the Cretin-Stillwater match fun to see, because you've got 2 accomplished athletes in Sydney Jackson and Alexis Pratt,
Absolutely.
who both did big things. You know, Alexis Pratt helped her North St. Paul team pick up some big wins at the Hamlin Elite Meet.
Yes.
And Sydney Jackson did the same thing in, I believe, the 4x400 relay with her Cretin team.
Yes.
Needless to say, a Cretin-Stillwater matchup might be I'm going to have a look forward to. I may have a hard time keeping up. That might be a date I have to circle. Because I like speed. I grew up watching NASCAR. And Cretin building a 13-3 lead in the first 6 minutes. Ottinger looking to extend it. Too strong. And an over-the-back foul on Ottinger. And that will end the possession for the Raiders. Paige goalie, number 14, on the floor for the Raiders. And this Cretin roster, nothing but familiar names all around. All of the players saw varsity time last year. Holy Angels, another team we'll see, similar build. They only lost one senior to graduation. And when you had the likes of Orno as number 10 for Lourdes scores, that's Catherine Patel. That continuity could be a huge asset. Elk River graduated 6 seniors. They're not even in the top 20, as Joe Lynch calls timeout for the Raiders. Elk River graduated a ton. Hopkins, they pretty much reload, so they could graduate everybody and they'd still find a way to be number 1. Eastview's another team that reloads. But in the lower classes, that's tougher to do. Minnehaha Academy bringing back almost everybody.
Right.
How they get through the incident, we'll have to see.
They have some committed families and players over there. I think with Mia Curtis.
Yep, Curtis, she had 31. I was at their regular season finale. She had a career-high 33. They find a way to get to state every year. And even without Keshana Barth-Lofton, who's going to Maranatha.
And it'll be interesting to see what Nevaeh Galloway does in the paint this season as well.
And if you're wondering, Maranatha in Section 5-2A, Minnehaha still in Section 4. So we talk about a potential drama if Como and De La Salle meet in the sections, if Maranatha and Minnehaha meets. And to be fair, it wasn't any bitterness. It was just in the case of Barth Lofton. There were some after effects from the building explosion. She was caught up in the wake of it, and that leaves a mark. But a big silly season of sorts this year with all of the changes.
Yes.
And with Maranatha classing up, you have a potential rivalry there. Como and De La Salle, they've been in the same section for years. A lot of folks kind of felt disappointed, not because St. Anthony won, but folks really wanted to see another Como De La Salle showdown. I know you would have enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
Because you would have gotten to coach at least one more game. Cretin going deep into the subs. Sydney Jackson fires a 3 and is short. Justina Butler is among them, number 1 for the Raiders. And number 20, Allie Redding.
And it looks like Rochester Lourdes went to a zone. Maybe that'll help slow this Cretin team down a little bit.
Baseline violation. For the Eagles, number 20, Margaret Rogers checks in.
Sonia Schroeder, one of the new players on the floor, and Margaret Rogers, number 20 for Rochester Lourdes. Up and under for Alyssa Ustby.
Basket by Alyssa Ustby.
And that's what Lourdes needs to see more of. And Rochester Lourdes, kickball, will stay here. A distinguished history of their own in athletics. The football team, a regular in the 3A state tournament. They've had quite the rivalry with St. Croix Lutheran over the last couple of years. The girls soccer team, some of the members from this team were part of that team who got to the quarterfinal round in the Class A bracket. There is a fair share of athletes at Rochester Lourdes and Cretin-Derham Hall as well. We mentioned Sydney Jackson and her proficiency in track. Haley Moore pulls up.
Short.
And unable to put it in was Allie Redding. Here comes the pressure again, and that's going to be a foul on Justina Butler. 9:39 left in the first half. 13-7 in favor of the Raiders. Lourdes in transition. And the mid-range J falls for Wynter Bergner.
They're cutting that lead down.
What was a 10-point deficit is now 4. And Cretin with the overpass. And Hottinger and Mendez are going to come back in for the Raiders. Joe Lynch perhaps sensing his team in trouble. Timing the pass was Autumn Mendez. She's got a full head of steam. Goodbye.
To the basket.
And that may be why Joe Lynch subbed her back in. Ustby in trouble. Throws it into traffic. Mendez with another steal. This time she'll dish it off to Edinger. Edinger up and under. Yes. Notice how quickly the tide has turned once Hottinger and Mendez sub back in. On the other end, Lourdes draws a foul, and that's the last to give for the Raiders. So the Eagles might have a chance to work their way back from the charity stripe here. And free throws coming for Wynter Bergner. Last year, the Rochester Lourdes team, even though they didn't win the state championship, they finished with the highest team GPA of every team in the state. That is impressive. And most teams, I haven't come, especially girls basketball, I rarely come across anyone who talks about academic issues, but the highest team GPA?
That's impressive.
No pun intended, but they really know how to do their homework. Bergner makes both free throws, and again, Lourdes will be in the bonus the rest of the first half. Hottinger dishing out to Anderson Manning. Off the heel, and the rebound going to 34, Sonia Schroeder, but she's in trouble, and she's fouled by the Raiders. This is a chance for Rochester Lourdes to work their way back.
See, who are they calling that foul on? Oh, that's her third.
Autumn Mendez, and she had just came in, gotten you a couple of steals. She's going to have to sit the bench now for the rest of the half. 17 fouls on the Raiders with 8:10 to go. And Schroeder with 1 and 1. She has not scored yet. And she blanks. The goalie will come in. Haley Moore throws an errant pass that was picked off. And Rochester Lourdes with new life here after going down 13-3 early. As we noted, consistency was an issue at times last year for the Raiders. And that's something they'll have to patch up if they want to get out of their section. They lost in the semifinal round last year. Thrilling section playoff, though, in that bracket. White Bear Lake edged East Ridge in overtime after the Raptors had swept the Bears in regular season play. Hottinger recovers in time, and Cretin scores the transition deuce. Hottinger up to 6.
A lot of hustle plays from Cretin out there.
And that is their strength. Anderson Manning's got to be careful. 3 on the way. Off the heel. That was Hansen. Scramble for the ball. That will be a jump. Lourdes with the arrow. So I imagine this game is helping you pick up a few notes as well for that first Cretin-Roseville game in the annual Battle of Raiders. I'm sure they never get old, those Raiders jokes never get old when those two meet. Speaking of low-hanging fruit, my money's on the purple team tonight.
I think I'm with you on that one, Mike.
Both teams are purple if you haven't picked up on it by now. Purple and gold are their school colors, and there's a bump after Moore got the steal. That's going to go against Ustby. And I'm not a big fan of those, I don't want to say frustration fouls, but it looked that way from up here. Not a big fan of that. You know, if you lose the ball,
Hustle back.
well, yeah, you don't need to commit a foul 90 feet from your basket. And I say 90 feet because the college courts are 10 feet longer than the high school courts. Edinger, bullseye.
3-point basket.
Lizzie Ettinger up to 8.
The assist to Franny Hottinger.
And Cretin-Derham Hall, you'll get to see them in another big invitational next weekend. They will be in the Tip-Off Classic playing Minneapolis South, which is why Paul and Monique Hill are here, and their daughters, Morgan and Jade, in their last year together as teammates. Wynter Bergner feeling it for the Eagles. We were talking up Ustby in the open, but Bergner has 10 points. That could help the Eagles out. Meanwhile, Cretin scores down low. Franny Hottinger. Hottinger and Ettinger with 8 apiece. And Rochester Lourdes, Latoya, Haley Moore, playing defensive back for a minute. Maybe she just wants to join the Vikings after they've won, I think it's what, 7 in a row now? I don't know if you follow football, but 7 in a row, yes, after they beat Detroit. I don't know if football's your thing, but.
Sydney Jackson's back in the game.
Lord with the steal. It's Ustby with the finish.
Basket by Alyssa Ustby.
Ustby up to 4. Only 2 players have scored for the Eagles, Bergner and Ustby.
Well, we know who they want to have the ball. Nice ball movement by Cretin.
And we know Cretin likes to score down low, at least the last few possessions.
Yes.
Allie Redding with her first basket of the game, just over 5 minutes left in the first, and the Raiders holding on to their lead, 25-15. 3 ball, bullseye.
Back to back.
Wynter Bergner up to 13. Don't sleep on this kid. Cretin in trouble, and they will hang on to it. Bergner a senior, Ustby the sophomore. And here comes Hottinger with the Euro step. Franny Hottinger, she doesn't look, this doesn't look like opening day, but there's a foul on Sydney Jackson. More free throws coming for the Eagles. And that will send Jordan Berg to the line. Jordan, the daughter of head coach Aaron Berg at Rochester Lourdes. And it's not uncommon for daughters of coaches to join their ranks. You would know a thing or two about that.
Just a little bit.
Well, because your daughter was at Como Park the last couple of years. And you, in the open we mentioned, you went to Washburn. You think you graduated in '95?
Correct.
I mean, how would you say the culture has changed from when you were playing prep basketball to what you see now?
I think it's coming back around. When I played prep basketball, we had more fan support. We had more fan support, and the boys and the girls played back-to-back games. So the rivalries were bigger. The gyms were full.
And Washburn, they had some strong teams back in the mid-'90s, as I recall.
We did.
Hottinger last scored for the Raiders, by the way, and we see the rest of Minneapolis South paying a visit. Hottinger and Ettinger forming quite the tandem here for the Raiders. Hottinger up to 12, Ettinger up to 10, and Cretin-Derham Hall is hot, hot, hot. I'm sure that's not the first time Hottinger has heard something like that.
Defense.
Sydney Jackson all over Berg. Cretin calling for the 5 seconds. Loose ball. Goalie comes up with it, and they throw it away. Did you notice a collective exhale after the overpass? Like, yes, we're going to score. But Lourdes calling a timeout. Cretin back up to 11, so I guess that gives us the time to do a little more storytelling. Washburn, I think, had some strong teams, both boys and girls, in the mid-'90s when you were playing.
Correct.
I believe, didn't Washburn get to state in '94?
Yes, they did.
And that's what kind of led to that Intercity All-Star Classic, because nobody got invited to the All-Star game. You see what happens when you call a game with me? I overwhelm you with knowledge, and then I scare you away, and then you'll never want to come back and do a game with me again.
During that time, I was 16, 17 years old, so I didn't really know the politics of basketball back then.
I'm not talking about the politics. I'm talking about, like, well, yes, politics and all this useless trivia that's stuck in my head because I've covered the sport for 12 years. If Tony Gear was still here, I think I might freak him out.
I'm amazed.
But, you know, I think, didn't the girls get, didn't they win conference around that time too?
We did.
So you got to play in the Twin Cities game?
Yes, we did. We had some great matchups with, Roosevelt High School and North High School at the time. It was just great fun, and a lot of the ladies who played on those teams were still friends.
You got to play against Tamara Moore, I think.
I did. She was a little bit younger than me. But my point guard at Washburn is now the assistant varsity coach at North, Nagesha Jackson.
Lord couldn't get the up and under down, but the Eagles are starting to pick up on this fast-paced play Cretin likes to use. And
that's going to be key for them.
And after a game of hot potato, Lord resetting with 3:08 to go.
And it'd be interesting to see, we're close to the halftime mark with 3 minutes left on the clock. But it'll be interesting to see how long Cretin can keep up this fast pace and be effective.
Dead ball rebound to the Raiders. So in those St. Paul games, who did you play in those Twin City games? I think Harding was good in the early 90s.
I want to say we played Central.
And Central, okay. Yeah, no, that was before Willie Taylor joined, but
yes.
Central had, well, when he joined, when Willie went over to Central, well, we all know what he did there. And with Washburn, they had a resurgence for a while with Chase Coley and kind of fallen back on hard times again, but that is the cyclical nature of high school sports.
You're absolutely right.
Cretin-Derham Hall, they were in a similar position for many years after Alyssa Carroll graduated.
But they're
Carroll
looking pretty good today.
Well, and Carroll was a standout player 10 years ago. She went to Wisconsin. One of many Minnesota prep standouts to go there.
Yes.
They've got 3 on the roster right now. That's going to be a foul on Jordan Berg as Anderson Manning got the steal. Those 3 are Keila McMorris in her senior season, Courtney Frederickson and Suzanne Gilreath. They went together, and they will be adding Carmen Backus of Chisago Lakes, who will hopefully get through a season healthy. She had an ACL tear last year, broken vertebra in her sophomore campaign. She hasn't played a full season in a long time. Hottinger drives and scores. And there may be, Franny Hottinger may be getting some looks from college scouts if she keeps this up. Off balance shot. Bergner caught in a jam. Cretin sealing her off. Look at them move the ball quick.
The ball movement is dynamic for them.
Pushing
the ball up the floor.
And Anderson Manning is fouled by Berg. And that was something that was missing somewhat a year ago. I covered 2 of their games. Oh, there's no foul. It's just jump ball. They lost to Norwood Young America by 1, suffered a big scoring drought that hurt them, and then lost a close one with De La Salle. But with that experience coming back, and that's a foul on Jordan Berg. Now that's why they are a top 10 team in the preseason rankings. Although you would talk to pretty much any coach and nobody pays any mind to it.
No.
It's this there for show. Ustby with the steal. Can she take it all the way? Yes.
She can. You have to find her and find her quick.
Elena Carlson subbing in for the Raiders. Just over a minute. Edinger for 3, short. Chance for the Eagles to pick up some momentum, but Anderson Manning comes up with it, and Cretin's going to score an easy transition look. Franny Hottinger with 16 points in the first half. Wynter Bergner out to Ustby. Lord will not hope for the final shot, not when they have an open 3, but Hansen can't put it down. Ustby with the O board. She's in trouble. Another jump ball. Lord with the arrow, so they'll hang on to it. 20.5 seconds left.
And Anderson Manning is everywhere for Cretin. She's getting her hands in there on all the possessions that she can. Just hitting the floor. Showing some great senior leadership out there.
We'll try again.
17 seconds left on the clock, 22-35, Cretin in the lead.
Rochester Lourdes, Aaron Berg yelling Texas. I guess we'll see what that means in a minute. Entry pass, and that's a foul on Hottinger.
We'll go to the line.
Wynter Bergner will shoot. Still 1-1 though, so if you miss this one, your last possession comes up empty, but we'll see. Wynter Bergner, an outstanding first half, 13 points, and she alone has kept the Eagles in this. Alyssa Ustby hasn't found much of a stroke yet, but
Still have another half.
exactly. You know, Sarah Scalia and Alexis Pratt struggled in the first half of their victory over New Prague today, and then they came on strong to help Stillwater win that one. Good if it goes.
Oh, wow.
It will not, but the Raiders do have an 11-point lead at halftime, 35-24. Franny Hottinger living up to her name, if you will. Your thoughts on the first half?
The defense that Cretin-Derham Hall is displaying, it's hard for Rochester Lourdes to get the ball up the floor. Cretin is really quick and fast in their transition offense. They need to slow them down and make them move the ball. And when they slow Cretin down, they're able to get their hands in there, get the turnovers, force Cretin to take bad shots. But they have to capitalize on the other end. So we'll see what the second half brings. What about you, Mike?
Well, I think I'm going to fly away and bring you some highlights from the preceding game, Providence Academy and Benilde St. Margaret's. And then we'll come back for the second half. You're watching the second annual St. Thomas Thanksgiving tip-off at Schoenecker Arena. Mike Peden here. Latoya Turk will rejoin me in a minute. High school girls basketball. The second annual St. Thomas Thanksgiving tip-off. Cretin-Derham Hall with a 35-24 lead over Rochester Lourdes. Notables in the first half, Franny Hottinger with 16 points, Lizzie Ettinger with 10. And Autumn Mendez with 5. For Rochester Lourdes, Wynter Bergner has 15, Alyssa Ustby has 6. Jordan Burke with a couple of free throws. And as Latoya rejoins me, I noticed you got caught up with Haley Moore's father.
Yes. I did some training with Haley when she was probably 7th, 8th grade. Her and KK and Adea, who are over at St. Agnes, ran a summer program at Battle Creek.
Battle Creek. That's where I went to school. Way back when.
Yes.
I know she was good friends, still is, with Chrissy Carr, who will be going to Kansas State in a year.
Nice.
It kind of helps when your father is an assistant coach there. And there's the aforementioned Haley Moore, who gets her first basket.
Maybe we should talk about her more.
How long have you saved that one? How long did you save that?
Save what?
That we should talk about her more.
Well,
How long? You were saving that all. You were just waiting to drop that, weren't you?
well, that's what gets her hot. Then let's keep her name in on our lips.
Hoops runs heavily in that family, as we mentioned. Colin, an assistant for Johnson for many years. He and I have a running gag of sorts because with Johnson, when those state tournament years, he said it's pretty much the same thing. There's no stars on our team. It's like, what? Well, there's not much more to say.
Nice.
And Johnson was one of those teams that was able to reload. And even though they only won one state title, I believe they were the last team. As Autumn Mendez scores.
She comes back in the game, and right away you know that she's there.
They were one of the last teams to win the 3A championship before De La Salle began their dominance of 6 in a row. And I caught up with a few faces too. The South staff here to scout Cretin for next Saturday's matchup. Autumn Mendez with another interception.
They love to push that ball up the floor.
Cretin can push, and that is going to be something to watch.
And Mendez is one of their catalysts.
Mendez trying for the poke. That was Anderson Manning, I should say. But yes, Autumn Mendez, the catalyst of that pressure defense, and Hottinger and Ettinger, the beneficiaries on offense.
Yes. They have a system.
High-low. And Jordan Burr gets her first field goal. If Lourdes can get a few more players going offensively, that could help them out in a big way.
When Rochester gets back in their zone and they beat Cretin down the floor, it slows them down.
Hottinger. No good.
And here we go.
Hanson with the block. A chance for Lourdes here. And Anderson Manning picks up the deflected pass and then lost her grip. An easy steal there for Bergner. And here comes Ustby. He floats it in. Now, just as we went to break, you said, I know everything. And after I saw you speaking with Colin Moore, I would counter with, you know everyone. I know everything, you know everyone.
I agree. I agree.
Oh, that being said, I guess I can't complain too much. I show up at Hamlin, and then right away I get like 5 different coaches and parents who stop to say hello.
That's a good thing. That's always a good thing.
Preferable to getting punched in the face. Haley Moore draws the foul. She'll shoot 2.
Nice drive to the basket.
You noted Haley Moore, great friends with Chrissy Carr. The two played on the same AAU program before Chrissy moved to Kansas. Not sure if Haley will follow Chrissy in Division I pursuits, but you got to give props to her father, who puts in all those games at Johnson, and then when there's a free night, you'll find him at Cretin, cheering on his daughter.
Yes.
That was Cretin's, if I'm not mistaken, their first trip to the free throw line. Haley Moore knocks them both down. (41-28). You see Cretin extending that pressure all the way out.
I'm impressed with their pressure, especially those guards up top and their closeout. You can tell this is something that they really work on in practice.
It takes pressure to make diamonds. You should see me at my other job. Actually, if you really want to get a taste of how bad my use of puns are, hang out in a car ride with Abe and I. You'll never want to come back on the mic again. Rochester Lourdes.
No, I'll be back.
Ustby to Bergner. Over to Patel. You see Lourdes having trouble penetrating. There's that diamond. And now a 3 on the way. That's going to be short from Ustby. Bergner bumped into Patel after the O-board. Look out. And Bergner goes high-low to Ustby. Just as they drew up, right?
30-41 with Cretin still dominating the lead here.
And Edinger, bullseye.
There we go.
3-point basket by Alyssa.
Bergner with the counter. She can't bank it in. Ustby hustles in for the O-board. She'll fire the 3. That is short, and now Bergner chases down the O-board. Here she comes, dumps it off. But Anna Braun is trapped. Patel gets bumped, loses control, and Aaron Berg has to call a bailout timeout with 12:49 left.
Rochester Lourdes calls timeout. 30 seconds.
You know, it's tough to extrapolate from one game, but the way Cretin is playing against a top 10 team in 2A, all of those predictions, prognostications about their potential in the Suburban East and in Section 4 look pretty good.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, I'm curious, you were talking about the rivalries back in your day. Any favorite moments from your time as a high school player?
Oh, yeah.
Better question, is there any video of you from your Washburn days out there?
Oh, I'm sure there's some
Do you have
video.
any in your collection?
You know, my mother was here a few weeks ago, and she said, I'm sending you all of your tapes.
Wouldn't it be fun to just dig that up and share it? And then people can find out how you have this great nursing career. And now, if you're Rochester Lourdes, I don't know, how do you come back from 14 down? I mean, you got to break through that Cretin pressure. Is there more to it? Foul on Sydney Jackson.
They're in the zone, and as Cretin is swinging the ball, they're not rotating, so they're leaving shooters open. So we've seen a couple of three-pointers, and those aren't helping the situation. And
Draining the runner is Anna Braun. And again, this is a Lourdes team that graduated 3 seniors who were vital components. Cretin, they're going to be losing a lot of talent this upcoming year, but we got a long way to go. Sydney Jackson missing the 3-pointer. Rebound, put back, Justina Butler. But you see Cretin going 10 deep tonight. Part of it was the early foul trouble on Mendez, but a lot of depth, a lot of experience.
And to be able to go 10 deep is a really good thing.
Especially at this level.
Yes.
Whoa, look at that. Wynter Bergner went underneath for the layup. Yeah, I see Colin is now handing out drinks to his daughter there. And Franny Hottinger is drinking up the fountain of youth. I don't know what juice she's drinking, but I want it.
And you definitely can't trade baskets if you're trying to cut the lead. Maybe putting a little pressure on.
Whatever Hottinger is drinking, I want it. She's up to 18. Lourdes goes empty on their last possession, but Ustby steals the ball away from Jackson, but she's got to be careful. And you saw Ustby get jammed up there. Lourdes had the possession arrow, but Ustby stopped and pretty much trapped herself with the baseline. That baseline acting as an extra defender.
It always is.
Well, if you can trap someone there. So I never like it when you go to the corner.
If you're going to put the ball down on the floor in front of Sydney Jackson, you've got to be ready.
There's some chatter in front of us, and I won't discuss what that is. There's some chatter in front of us. It's amazing what you can pick up when you are amidst the fans here. It's
yes.
Not, this ain't college where you get your own spot in press row or up in the press box. You're among fellow fans here.
And there's Mendez again.
Mendez, here she comes. And you see the value she brings. I don't know what her plus minus is. They don't keep track of that in high school, but you see when she gets on the floor, that pressure defense goes up a notch.
And I see her shaking her finger. So she must have jammed her finger, but she's still playing, rebounding, pushing the ball up the floor.
You think a jammed finger's gonna stop her? Look out. Mendez overpass there, looking for Justina Butler, but Cretin with a 16-point lead. They have been in control of this one from the opening tip. After this, we have Holy Angels and Dowling Catholic.
Great matchup.
Full court press. Anderson Manning with the steal. Justina Butler's gonna have a couple of bruises after this one. Butler didn't see the pass coming, and then she fell over flat on her face.
Little acting job there.
Well, refs didn't buy it. Laura catches a break there. And Catherine Patel will shoot 2.
Raiders personal foul on Autumn Mendez, her 4th. Team's 3rd.
That's the 4th on Mendez, although Cretin up by 16, so maybe not a huge concern at this point. Patel, the 5'6" junior. Just a couple of seniors who play significant minutes on this Lourdes team, Bergner and Hansen.
It's amazing the amount of time she's spent on the bench in foul trouble, and she's still been a factor in this game.
No, that's a sign of grit. You know,
yes.
A player that came to mind last year, Elise Moore at Maranatha Christian Academy. She's now playing at James Madison, a D3 school. You know, wasn't the sharpest player in Maranatha history, but was fearless. No matter how many fouls she had, she would still play with the same level of intensity. And Justina Butler sinks the 3.
Kind of like Rain Adams over at Como.
Rain Adams, well, Elise Moore had a few more inches height-wise, but Rain Adams, Rochester Lourdes calling timeout. They're down by 18. Rain Adams, who we'll see on Tuesday when Como plays Stillwater. They're coming off a big win over Orono. But yes, Alexis Gray Lawson telling me the first year she came to Como Park, you ask Rain to run into a wall, she'll tell you how fast.
And that'll be a good guard matchup. With
Pratt against Rain.
Pratt against Rain and the 8th grade guards over there, Ronnie and KK. That'll be a nice matchup. Those ladies have played together and played against each other over in the AAU season, off season. So it'll be nice to see them match up during the season.
Abe, do you remember this? You remember you were around when this song was big, don't you? Did you have any Village People outfits in your closet? No. You were all about Hendrix, that's why. Abe was really into music in his past career. Rochester Lourdes racing down and scoring a transition. That's Jordan Bird.
And here's Cretin coming.
You have to think if Lourdes has one more run left in them, it has to come now. That's a bailout foul, not what you want after you got Hottinger in a jam.
Eagles personal foul on Jordan Bird, her 4th, team 2nd.
Butler, the skip to Anderson Manning. Has the ball poked, finds Hottinger. Oh, shovel pass, and they weren't ready for it. Turnover, and Rochester Lourdes with a chance to trim this margin. Again, they need baskets, and they need them soon. Ustby will try to do that. She can't shake off Jackson, though, or that was more. And Lourdes will reset. 3 ball. Unable to hit it from the corner was number 12. Get that name in a moment. Katie Heiberger. Patel. Out to Ustby. High low, and Patel can't finish. And now Anderson Manning backs off. Butler finds more. She sees a hole, she'll take it, and gets the friendly bounce. Now this Rochester Lourdes team, they've taken part in this event, and Aaron Berg actually pulled the parents after they were invited to this Catholic get-together, because Lourdes also hosts the Rochester Rotary Holiday Tournament at the Rochester Civic Center, one of the big holiday events. I believe Como went down there a year or two ago.
2 years ago.
As goalie scores on the other end for the Raiders. He pulled all the parents and said, we still want this because you're giving up 2 holidays. And the parents said, let's keep it. And I don't know, I haven't been down there myself, but Patel scores her first field goal. You went down there. What was the atmosphere like with the Civic Center? Because it's a chance to showcase all of the Rochester teams, and a lot of big-name schools go down there.
Right. It's an opportunity for the girls to play on the big court. And coming from the city, you don't have much fan support there.
A true road game in a sense.
Yes.
And I've noticed that the rural schools, well, Carly Wagner, when she was at New Richland, wherever she went, fans followed. I remember going to a game where she played Washburn at the Super 60 event. Wagner and Chase Coley. The gym was packed with NRHEG fans as Berg misses the front end. But in most cases, yeah, you don't get a lot of fans that come down for those long distance trips.
The year that we went down, there was a snowstorm as we were traveling.
Well, that's what we get for living up here. More fakes, drives, beautiful.
Looks really nice in that left hand. She puts the ball on the floor well, gets to the basket. She has long arms.
This game has been dominated by Cretin-Derham Hall throughout. Blocked by Moore.
Using those long arms.
Well, you're 6 feet. You've got that long wingspan. Joe Lynch will call a timeout. He had 4 left. I know this will be unfortunately, you won't have to contend with Cretin in the Macarena. Was that big? Well, you had just graduated before the Macarena became a thing, but was that a big thing in college at Kent State? Did you hear any Macarena?
No, at Kentucky State, no. But
you managed to escape the fad.
In high school, I remember this song was in heavy rotation.
I thought it was big in '96 after you graduated.
Well, okay. So then maybe it was called my first year in college.
Well, the remix that became popular in the States was '96, and what have I done here? I've turned this into
You have more knowledge of the song than I do.
Hey, was this on your playlist back in the '90s? So before this jogged my memory of the Macarena fad that swept the nation in '96, you don't have to contend with Cretin in the section, or at least as a Roseville fan, you don't have to worry about it. But from what you've seen out of this first game, what do you make of this team, and how far do you think they can go in the conference and in Section 4A?
Oh, well, from a skill level, I think conference-wise they're going to fare quite well. They're favored to win the conference, and from what I'm seeing tonight, they have the tools to do that. I'm not sure who they would be matching up with in section and what that would look like.
Well, that's always tough, with the reclassification this year. But White Bear Lake figures to be a contender. We'll see how far Stillwater goes,
right?
And if Tartan can continue their rise. They had a plus 500 season a year ago after a couple of down years.
Tartan, do they have a new coaching staff there?
I'd have to look. It's been a while since I've covered a Tartan game. Last time I was there was the Tia Albert years.
I think they have a new coaching staff, but whoever Cretin faces, they're going to give them a run for their money.
Eastridge not expected to contend this year. Woodbury not expected. They don't have a lot in terms of returning talent, and that's not to say they can't come up with some upset surge.
I think it's going to be a toss-up between Cretin, Park, and Roseville. And Stillwater will be in that mix,
in the
conference.
Well, Roseville, are they still in Section 5, or did they get moved?
I don't know.
I thought you would be on top of this with your daughter there. Cretin-Derham Hall on top of their game, especially down low. Hottinger and Ettinger.
I'll give you an update at the next game, Mike.
I think we'll all do our homework, and so when we meet up again
yes.
next Friday for Como and North for Unity in the Community Day.
I already know the stats for that game, just so you know.
You did?
I know the players and the coaches.
Oh, the stats. I thought, you already know who's going to score how many points? Well, Como made a big impression knocking off Orono. North's going to have a handful.
Absolutely.
It was last year you guys had to sweat it out in overtime.
They look really good this year.
And here comes
Cretin.
Well, they're going to make massive line change subs here with the game pretty much in hand. As Ustby pads her numbers. And for us, it's going to be tough to say what the potential is for Lourdes. They're in 2A. They're not going to be up here in the Metro after this weekend invite, but do we see them getting out of their section? I think they're in Section 1, 2A. Goalie with a three-point play chance.
They're really going to need some players to step up, become offensive threats if they want to make a move.
Well, it helps that in 2A you don't have to deal with teams as deep as Cretin is tonight. But, Minnehaha brings back a lot. Sauk Center, a perennial in 2A. They've been so close. How many times to winning state in that field? Maranatha joining 2A. And Chris Bierman excited about the new talent he's bringing in. He's made it clear that he wants to get back to state, and he feels he can do just that. Roseau, they only have two Bravich sisters now, but both are capable. Rochester Lourdes comes up with a loose ball, and Wynter Bergner will take it home. Lourdes has a good two-person core here in Bergner and Ustby, but that depth, can they take on the likes of Minnehaha in a state tournament bracket? We shall see. Well, first you got to get through your section.
Yes.
As you are familiar with last year. Well, the thing with Como, we talked about how great they look this year. Last year they were good, just not consistent. That game with St. Anthony, I was there for that one. They only scored 1 point in the last 4 minutes. Tough to close out games like that. They were up by 13. I think they should have won.
Nice move. Nice
no
move.
No offense to you, but and how about Autumn Mendez? How about this Cretin team? We've been singing their praises all second half, but they keep giving us reasons to sing more.
I'm really impressed with Mendez on the floor. Just get her foul situation under control. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
How nervous are you going to be when Cretin and Roseville meet up for those two conference games after what you've seen tonight?
I'm not nervous.
Bergner for three, that comes up short. More important question, do you have your updated black and silver attire?
Oh, absolutely. Raiders all day, Mike.
Nice backdoor play for Mendez. Haley Moore with the assist. Cretin with three players in double figures, and this is reminiscent of what we saw a year ago, where Cretin just obliterated their opponents here in this St. Thomas Thanksgiving tip-off, and that's what got everyone's attention. Look at Butler coming for the steal. Well, she got the deflection.
Got to handle the ball.
Sydney Jackson came up with it. Even with the game in hand, they're still playing up-tempo defense. That's something you like to see.
You got to get those kinks out.
Well,
it's unfortunate that it's at the expense of the other team. But, we've been in those situations
Joe
before.
Lynch is going to call a timeout to get his players out there. But, it's good to see that even when you're up by 20, you're going to win this game. You're still hustling hard for baskets. So, Cretin certainly hungry like the wolf in this game. This was probably a big, I don't know what you listened to growing up, but this was probably on heavy rotation when you were a kid.
I probably changed the radio station when this came on.
So 80s synthesized pop was not your thing?
No. Well, yeah, no.
Not even the Minneapolis sound? Human League, Janet Jackson, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis?
A little bit. I was more of a reader growing up, so.
So you hit up the books.
Yes. So
I grew up watching a lot of sports broadcasts, and so music and visuals, they all get burned in your head, and yes.
I watched a lot of basketball growing up, a lot of sports as well.
So who was your idol back in, well, you grew up in the 80s in the height of the Bird Magic Johnson rivalry. I don't know who you gravitated to, and then when you were in high school and college, it was the year of the Bulls dynasty.
The Bulls, yeah, the Bulls.
So Cretin sending in their deep subs, Ustby staying in there, and she'll get a transition bucket. That'll put her up to 14. The Cretin players on the floor, we're going to try to get them all here. Number 15, Maddie Quicksole. Number 5, Nicole Metzel. Number 12, Anna Colin. Number 33, Bella McDonald. And one more number 30, Elena Carlson back out there. Because you never know when a parent will be watching. Want to make sure those kids get their dues. And with Braun firing the 3, coming up short. As you know, every team makes the playoffs in terms of section seeding. So, this is good experience. Even in a stat padding time situation, it's a good opportunity for these kids to get some playing time against other competitions. So Cretin picking up where they left off a year ago at this event. We'll see if they can find a way back to state. They did win a state championship if you go back to 1999. Long time ago. And that was the only state tournament title for the girls. And there's a good chance that we could see both the girls and boys get to state in basketball this year. Look out. Players diving all over the place. Less than a minute to go, and strong showing for one of the top 10 teams in Class 4A, and boy, I can't wait for the next one. What?
When you clear the bench, the level of play changes.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yes. Let's see how this last 38 seconds plays out.
I'm sure you experienced that when you were subbed out after a runaway win at Washburn.
I never really got subbed out.
You never did. You got that star treatment, didn't you?
And my sub was Kim Bell, who went on to play at the University of Minnesota.
Your sub was Kim Bell,
yeah.
6'7". So that's number 34 scoring, Sonia Schroeder. So you're what, 5'11", something like that?
Yes.
Big post player, and then your sub, your backup is 6'7".
Yes.
Probably one of the few times in your basketball career where you felt awfully short.
Well, Kim can do that to you.
Anyone at 6'7" can do that.
A gentle giant, though.
And I'm used to it in the WNBA. I'm pretty much used to looking up at people. Candace Parker, Brittany Griner, Sylvia Fowles.
Yes.
All right. right, enough reminiscing. Cretin-Derham Hall wins 67-51, a wire-to-wire victory for the Raiders, and a good premonition of their potential as the season moves along. If they're going to be the favorite in the Suburban East, they demonstrated that in this season opener.
Great showing.
Rochester Lourdes will play the late game.
And any other thoughts from this matchup with Lord and the Cretin-Derham Hall? Your impression here?
I'm impressed with Cretin-Derham Hall. I thought Rochester did a good job of slowing them down when they went to the zone. They just weren't good at the rotation, so they ended up paying for it. But the predictions that were made about Cretin-Derham Hall, they lived up to it tonight.
Well, we've got a little bit of a cool-down time here, so we'll go over the numbers for you. Franny Hottinger with 18 points to lead the Raiders. Lizzie Ettinger with 15. Autumn Mendez with 13. Haley Moore with 8. Rochester Lourdes, their notables, Wynter Bergner with 22. Alyssa Ustby with 14. Jordan Berg with 7. So you think you can handle another game?
I think I can handle another game.
Well, what about your daughter? Can she handle it?
We are about to find out.
She was going to try to photobomb us, and but I was too slick for that. Well, we'll take a breather and come back with the second game of our St. Thomas doubleheader, Holy Angels and Dowling Catholic from West Des Moines, Iowa. Until then, for our entire crew, this is Mike Peden. Thank you for watching. The Raiders start their season 1-0.
Sayonara.